Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be providing a brief overview of the history, usage, and mechanics of the MOS 44. Over the following weeks, we will be uploading content based on this format, showcasing a variety of military surplus firearms. Before we begin, a like is greatly appreciated, as we are a small channel. Now, let's get into it. As our topic today, we have selected the MOS 44. The MOS 44 was a rifle long in the making for the French, with development beginning in 1921, just a few years after the conclusion of the First World War. For France, the initial step of the plan was to implement a straight-wall, rimless cartridge to replace the outdated 8mm Lebel. This was done with relative ease, as the French would go on to adopt the 7.5 by 54mm cartridge in 1924, only 3 years after the original request. Now that a modern cartridge had been adopted, the French looked for a suitable, self-loading rifle to go hand in hand. This proved far more difficult than was first thought. After nearly a decade of design and revision by a number of French arsenals, the two main contributors being Saint-Étienne, abbreviated as MAS, and Toula, abbreviated as MAT, a major trial was held in 1931. A variety of rifles were present during testing, domestic and foreign, most notably the Swiss KE9 and Czech ZH29. When the dust settled, the French were left unconvinced of any one design, as not a single rifle had outperformed its competitors. France selected the two leading designs and opted to create a blend of both projects, cherry-picking the best elements of each rifle. One rifle from MOS or MAS and the other from MAT. This hybrid rifle would come to be known as the MOS 40. Development for this self-loader would be drawn out for years, until war seemed to be imminent. In December of 1939, France panicked, attempting to push the MOS 40 into production. But with French arsenals furiously churning out the MOS 36, the innovative design would lay dormant. In mid-1941, France would sign an armistice with Germany. Now under occupation, the Saint-Étienne arsenal withheld the design plans of the MOS 40 from prying German eyes, with staff reportedly labeling the tooling for the MOS 40 as belonging to the MOS 36, as the two firearms shared many similarities. This convinced the Germans for the time being, and the project was thankfully kept under wraps. This was until September of 1944, when Saint-Étienne was liberated, and the MOS 40, soon to be the MOS 44, would again see the light of day. As early as 1945, the MOS 44 was coming off of the production line. The main difference between the MOS 40 and the MOS 44 was the replacement of a 5-round fixed box magazine for a 10-round removable one. The MOS 44 was improved 3 separate times, being designated the MOS 44A, 44B, and 44C. Using a direct gas impingement system with a tilting bolt, the MOS 44 was well liked and noted to be remarkably durable with great handling. Only 6,200 rifles would be produced. This encompasses all variants. In 1951, the MOS 44 would be officially replaced by the MOS 49, a further evolution of the original design. During the early 1980s, all 6,200 rifles would be surplused, with a sizable number landing in the United States. MOS 44s float around the secondary market on rare occasion, but will more often be found at auction houses. A decent condition example will usually fetch around $1,500, but I would consider this price estimate modest. The MOS 44 is still greatly undervalued in the surplus community, as one of the finest early self-loading rifles of the period. For how scarce the MOS 44 truly is, in my eyes, it is still a fantastic deal, even today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Again, if you disagree with anything I have said, or have a question, please feel free to drop it down in the comments. I am no expert and never claim to be. More videos will be coming out soon. Stay tuned. Until next time, on Tipton Bros.